All right, let's welcome in now constitutional law attorney and Newsmax contributor Jenna Ellis to find out what else we might find out in these moments as we wait for the DOJ to be transparent about this. Jenna, great to have you.
Great to see you, John and Bianca.
You know, I'm kind of struck by this, Jenna, because, I've actually spent a lot of time at that West Palm Beach federal courthouse. Whether it was when a lot of county commissioners here were being arrested, you go down there for their trials, or when a search warrant or an affidavit does become available to the public, that's usually where you have to go to pick it up. And of course, we also have extenuating circumstances here. This is the former president of the United States. So when and if this warrant is released, what will we learn from that document? Will we learn anything? Will the affidavit ever be unsealed? Give us a kind of preview of what we can expect, Jenna.
Yeah, well, obviously, President Trump has said that he is wanting all of the documents to be released, and it is a matter of national public interest, especially because there is an all-time low in trust of law enforcement, particularly the FBI, and it's becoming more and more apparent that this is all about political opposition rather than probable cause. And so if only the search warrant itself is released and we don't have the affidavit and we also don't have the inventory, then I think that will raise a lot of questions. And so why wouldn't the FBI come forward and be completely transparent so that we can learn at least as much as we can? But with this Washington Post article claiming now that sources are saying that this is related to classified nuclear documents, I mean, this should be the FBI that's cried wolf. I mean, so many times they've said this is the smoking gun, this is what's going to take President Trump down. And even if this were true, let's think about that for a second. So 18 months after President Trump leaves office, his lawyers, we know, have been in contact and negotiations with the FBI since June. And now all of a sudden, when he's 1,000 miles away in New York, there's this rush to say, oh, well, now we have to go in because, oh, these are nuclear documents. There's so many questions that raises. And I, for one, am really grateful. And I posted this on social media yesterday that, the FBI and the DOJ are so on it. It took them 18 months to go in because there's possibly a rogue president here. I mean, this is just ridiculous at this point. I think George is totally right that nobody trusts the FBI.
If there were nuclear documents missing, regardless of who stole them, and it takes 18 months to even notice that they're actually missing, then we have another entirely another problem to talk about as well.
And going back to June 3rd, when they were there, if there was an inkling of this, and Trump has said that he was cooperating, it just never needed to go to that. But, I think they throw in the word nuclear because, again, we also don't know a lot of clarity, Jenna. What was this probable cause? And if they're saying it's nuclear, they're trying to bolster that. But to the AG doing this, press conference yesterday, coming out, at least he said he personally approved the search. So that we know on the record. But it was a little bit of a cat and mouse game, wasn't it? Because then they said, well, we filed a motion, but Trump had to okay it, which he did. Maybe they thought he wouldn't do it. What do you make of sort of this legal back and forth? Is this, from a lawyer's perspective here, what type of game are they playing?
Well, they're trying to cover their tracks now. And again, they're trying to justify this because clearly it's political opposition rather than probable cause. And so we learned absolutely nothing yesterday other than the fact that Merrick Garland did say that he personally approved the warrant. But other than that, all he did was come out and try to bolster the American people's faith in the FBI and the DOJ, which, of course, any reasonable person, regardless of where you're at in the political spectrum, should have questions about this. And he didn't give us any further information. And so all he's trying to do here is put this back on Trump, who, of course, wisely came out and said, hey, I want full transparency. It's up to you guys. Why not release this now? And so this is really now, from a legal perspective, the burden is on the DOJ and the FBI to actually show that they, in fact, had probable cause. And the other big question I have here is with this Judge Reinhart, when he just 6 weeks before he approved the search warrant, he recused himself based on bias from the Trump versus Clinton lawsuit. And then he comes out and he says that he's okay to sign this warrant. That is a gargantuan mistake. And I think that that's going to come back and bite this case as well. And I think there are a ton of legal questions here. And I hope that Trump's lawyers are smart enough to get on this right away. They should have been in court immediately challenging this.
Yeah, you're not the only one who brought that up about the recusing here. That's a big point.
Well, Jenna, we also have this Hunter Biden federal investigation that we know it's been confirmed. But is anything going to come of it? Not based on what we've seen. Hunter Biden, we saw earlier this week, boarding Air Force One, to go on a family vacation with his dad on our taxpayer dime. He doesn't seem concerned about this. We also know Hunter Biden's daughter is getting married at the White House this fall, so I don't think Joe Biden will let the DOJ, or the DOJ would indict Hunter Biden if he was going to have a wedding at the White House this fall. So kind of contrasting images. Hunter Biden hopping on Air Force One, flying off to South Carolina carefree versus what we saw at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, and this is where the American people are really frustrated that there isn't equal protection under the law because, of course, no one is above the law. Hunter Biden shouldn't be above the law, but Donald Trump shouldn't be below the law either, and he does not deserve to be the target of political opposition. And the timing of this is, of course, really suspicious when you only have a little under 3 months until the midterms, and now suddenly you have this raid of Mar-a-Lago, and yet we've had for several years Hunter Biden just going off scot-free, and no one thinks that he's actually being investigated. So this is why there are so many questions about the FBI, about the DOJ, and the American people are sick of this being about politics instead of the Constitution and the law. That's all that anyone wants, and that should not be a political question. It should be a matter of the Constitution and the law.
Jenna Ellis, great to see you. Thanks.
Great to see you too.
All right, thanks, Jenna.
JP Morgan's CEO is warning that an economic hurricane is coming. Are you preparing? If you don't do anything, your 401k could be a 201k, and that is not good. So call our trusted friends at Lear Capital. For 25 years, Lear has helped investors own gold to protect against market chaos. It's a good thing. They can help you too. Get your information and up to $15,000 in bonus IRA gold. Just call this number, 800-880-4300. That's 800-880-4300.